Vedic scholar before I was a medical doctor, and I used to teach people Sanskrit. It's a beautiful language. And so I love doing pujas and doing initiations and meditation. But one of the hats I wear, I'm not taking care of emergencies on the United Airlines flight. But the point is that this is really true, that all these civilizations have had in their teachings that we would enter into such a time, and it's here. Now, whether that exact date is of significance or some interpreted, but we're in that period, let's just say it that way, absolutely. And it's going to quicken and quicken and quicken and quicken. That's what we've been getting through these events at the Outer Banks and Shasta and Joshua Tree, and God knows what will happen next week at Preston. Or Saturday night out here, and I don't know where we're going, but wherever they tell me to go, we'll go.
You're saying those civilizations were long ago were taught by the off-world civilizations?
Well, or new through spirit at this time. Yes, absolutely. And the Native Americans call this the time of great changes, and the time of the great purification of the Hopi tradition. That's the time we're in. Yes, sir.
Dr. Greer, I have two questions for you. One, I agree with you regarding disclosure and the need for new forms of energy, but what I'm not hearing is anything about the abduction phenomenon, the relation phenomenon, the overwhelming evidence that there's a great deal of nefarious activity going on by the ETs, essentially the ET cover-up. What about the ET cover-up?
Oh, they're not covering up anything.
My second question, if I can finish, is, well, it's more a comment. It's just that the name dropping, the excessive self-importance, and the disjointed claims really
no, that's not what it's
making
about.
it difficult for me to get your message. So.
Here's what I think, that other point aside. A lot of people will have an experience and they will attribute it to these visitors. But how many people know that we've had since the 40s and 50s anti-gravity craft that look like UFOs? Or that we've had electromagnetic, radionics, and psychotronic devices that simulate contact. Real advanced stuff. I'm going to get into some of this tomorrow. But not everything that goes bump in the night is what people think it is. So there's a whole lot of different phenomena, plural, rather than one thing happening. And this has been done deliberately. Because I was told this years ago by an NSA guy, how do you do this? You hide it in plain sight. It's all hidden in plain sight. Believe it or not, it's all out there. But what they do is that, let's say that you have a really beautiful gold nugget, something that's happening, and you're wanting people not to notice that, where you basically manufacture and put around the truth all fool's gold. And you got to do an assay. And this is a really difficult issue to talk about because people have, people want to believe in a cowboys and Indians and us versus them, and good aliens and bad aliens and all this stuff. That's the dominant popular myth. Sorry to tell you, it just isn't true. And one of the issues about this is that any civilization capable of interstellar travel, there is nothing on this planet they need. If you understand that science, they can materialize and manifest anything. And in fact, I was asked this question by this guy at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base who was over the division where the remains of the Roswell stuff had gone. And he said, well, what if they're hostile to us? I said, buddy, given all the stupid things we've been doing, if they were hostile to us, we'd be a cinder floating through space, and it would have been over about the time we started detonating nuclear weapons. I said, the issue is, are they concerned about our hostility? Are they concerned about the destruction of our genetic base? Are there things going on? Is there a cosmic Noah's Ark going on? Of plants, animals, and even human genetic material? Because we have created so much radiation pollution and other problems on this planet. There's a lot of things here. So these simple sort of dualities that people want to put, it isn't that people haven't had experiences that have scared them. I would never deny that. When I was a kid, I was scared of the jeebies. But that you cannot take people's emotional reactions to things as a proof of intent or what the purpose is. What I'm saying is that I don't see any evidence that these visitors were hostile. I see a lot of evidence they're very concerned about human hostility. And that is something we don't want to look at, because to me, this whole thing's a big cosmic Rorschach test. It's like a cosmic mirror being held up there. And the way we see these visitors says more about us than them. Yes, sir.
After 60 years of being an open-minded skeptic on this subject, a friend of mine sent a video videotape of your disclosure project presentation at the
National Press Club.
And that prompted a much more interested approach to this. Then somebody gave me a copy of your book, Hidden Truth.
Oh, yeah, Hidden Truth Forbidden. That's the autobiographical.
And when I read chapter 4, I felt a very strong spiritual connection to you. And I haven't heard you make any references to how you met your wife. Which
Yeah.
I think is a very interesting aspect of all this, because it leads into the spiritual subject.
Well, actually, the way I met my wife is that I was living in Israel in Haifa, and a friend and I had gone over there, and we were working at the. How many people have ever been to Haifa? It's a gorgeous city, and there's a temple there, a Baha'i temple that's up on Mount Carmel, and we were living right near there, and I had this really beautiful lucid dream of this master coming to me and introducing me to this woman. And I was like 22. I was no more interested in being married than the man in the moon. And, and I was told, this is who you should marry. And she'll come from far away. She'll be older than you are, but it's not a problem. She's like 30. And older women are great. Besides, men die 7 years sooner, so we're equal. And gave me all this detailed information, and I was just stunned. And so I told my friend, I said, look for who this person is. I had this dream like 4 or 5 nights in a row, I can't remember it, over the course of a week. And then shortly after that, maybe a few weeks after that, this woman had come there, because she was coming for a conference at the Baha'i Center to elect the sort of governing body for the Baha'is around the world. And she walked through the gates of these beautiful gardens, and I said, that's her. So how do you go up to a stranger and say, hello, my name's Steve, by the way, we're supposed to be married? So I didn't do that the first time I met her. I did it in the second letter I wrote her. So, that was 30 years ago in August. We've been married 30 years. So, it was a beautiful story, but it really came through consciousness and spirit, and being open to the fact that within us, even in the dream state, the lucid dream state, you can see and realize things that in the waking state, you're often shut off to. And there's a mystery here, because how many people have had a dream where you're awake in the dream and you know you're conscious in it and you're like flying? That's your spirit body's actually traveling. And what's interesting to me is that the number one way that people have actually had contact with these interstellar civilizations is in that state. Not being bragged, kicking and screaming on a craft, having an implant put in, and all that stuff. It's that. And so it's not what people think, because they move through that sort of etheric, spirit, astral energy as easily as you and I pick up a cell phone and call New York. Now, mind you, if you were to go back to the time of Thomas Jefferson and show someone a cell phone, you would be burned at the stake of witch first if you were in some places. But it would be considered magic. A flashlight would have been magic. And so contemplate the level of integration of spirit, consciousness, astral and celestial knowledge, and electromagnetic technologies and sciences. If you extrapolate from where we are today, 10,000 years in the future, 100,000 years in the future, 10 million years into the future. That's what we're talking about. And that's why we have to keep a very open mind about how contact is made, because it happens on all these levels. Yes, the craft can materialize. Yes, there can be a tone come through. Yes, there can be objects that you film. And then there can be all these other things happening. So ultimately, what is beautiful about this is that the key to all of this is locked within us. And guess what? But each of us can turn that key. And no one else can. But the only thing I can do is help remind people you got that ability. And then once you realize that and put yourself into the position, then you can do it. And that's true, by the way, whether you're wanting to make contact or whether you're wanting to insert a chest tube and not legit and puncture a major artery. You really have to see it. Everything we do in our lives, we see in our consciousness and our thought first, and then we manifest it. So this is about becoming manifestors of this future. And we all have that.